Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. I'm currently in the SMU program in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. I got there on May 1st. When you catch a shot over there, they set you back, day one, phase one, no matter what step you're in. Right now, at the time when I got there, they changed the program from 18 months to 9 months. So I caught all my shots the first week I was there, so it really didn't faze me. I bucked, got out of the cell. They put me in with my homeboy Tran, but he was only over there for about 3 weeks with me before he left to Allenwood to get back to population. He was already on the last phase. Now, when he left, I was in a single cell by myself for about 3 weeks. They didn't put anybody on the bus with me or anything like that. But one evening, the CO comes and knocks on my door. Boom, boom. I look out my window, and who I see the homie Easy from Glendale, the one I was just in the shoe with in Atwater, standing on the other side, standing on the other side of the door. He was pending an investigation for assault on the staff. And they opened the door, threw him in, we hugged, we ain't seen each other in a little bit, whatever. He comes in there, and I was like, what happened? He's like, man, they just came to his door one day and said, hey, you're on the bus. Because, he never got his shot or anything for the assault on the officer. Like, as far as he was concerned, as far as he knew, he was still pending an investigation, waiting to get street charged for that. But, but in the system, let's say I knock out a guard or whatever. Well, if they take me to the SHU and give me a write-up and sanction me and give me 30 days or 60 days for assault on the officer, well, they then can't turn around and come back later and give me a street charge for it. If they're, like in my case, when I knocked out the guard, they didn't take me to the SHU and gave me or write me up. They just put me in a room, and they called the police from the streets, 2 uniformed officers from the street, to come into the jail to sit down and read me my rights. So from the gate, as soon as I hit that CO, they charged me streetwise, a street case. But but at any time when you're in the system, if you go in there and they give you a sanction and they give you, whatever, 30, 60 days, then they can't come back and turn around and try to give you street charge. That's the same thing with Bryson. Bryson, when him and his homeboy got into with the Uso fams over there in Hawaii, him and 2 others, they got sanctioned. They went to the SHU, got written up, and got how many SHU days they got. But 4 other of his buddies that came in, they didn't give him a write-up. They gave him a street charge. They tried to come back and give Bryson a street charge for it, but he already had gotten sanctioned by the jail. And so therefore, I think it falls on the line with double jeopardy. They couldn't give him a street charge for it. So Bryson's been lucky that he's, escaped a lot of these different charges along the way. But, me, I haven't been so fortunate, So they bring Easy in, and they haven't gave him a write-up. Like, none of the staff, the counselor, or anybody even knew why he was there. I mean, he was on his way over there, but the paperwork and everything in Atwater wasn't finished. But we find out that the purpose they went over there and got him was specifically to be my cellie. Because I've already established that I'm not going to cellie. I gave them the opportunity to do the right thing, and they put me in there with a whiteboard. So now we made it understood, like, hey, if this is how you guys going to treat me, you guys going to keep trying to put me in a trick bag, well, this is what it is. Because I wasn't accepting no other cellie that was outside my race. I was just, I'm in there now. I'm comfortable in there as far as just get my mind wrapped that I'm going to be in the program. So I'm going to be a little bit more insistent on the way I do my time. And they understood that, so they went one day and just picked up Easy and brought him over to Lewisburg to be my celly. So, like being in Lewisburg, in the summer of Lewisburg, I've never been in a place, I've never had such a bad time, just as far as not the environment or anything like that, but just not with the chaos or anything, but just being in a cell. If anybody knows anything about Pennsylvania, it's real humid. This prison was built in the 1930s. It might be like 1930 exactly, but it was built in the 1930s. So there's no air conditioning, there's no heater or anything like that. It's, you're stuck in a cell. Beneath your door, there's a mouse hole that we call a mouse hole where the door racks on. And then on the back of the cell, there's a window, but there's a thick screen on it with just holes that you can barely stick the tip of your pencil in. So, there's absolutely no air circulation in there. My routine, like I tell you, the whole time I've been in prison was wake up at 5:30, go to sleep around 9 and 10. But being in Lewisburg, in the summertime, even when it's 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, the cell is still stuffy. You can still barely breathe. We're all locked in a cell. In the hallway, they have a fan for the COs. Because it ain't for us. We're stuck in the cell. So the big freaking 3 fans they got in the hallway, that's for the CO, and it's on. But we don't get to feel any of the wind. My cellie at times would lay down on the floor, stick his face as close to the crack at the bottom of the door as he can, just to try to breathe. What I got a habit of doing is I would get cold water, splash it on the floor of my cell, get my t-shirt, soak it in cold water, then put my t-shirt on and lay down in the puddle just to try to get some relief from the heat and the humidity. It was miserable as far as the condition, as far as the weather and the cells that we were in. You would sit there, we make makeshift fans, right? Just a cardboard or whatever with a little handle. Easy was making all sorts of fan. We're trying to find every which way to relieve ourselves of this heat. And at night, you would sit there and you would just fan yourself, try to get some cool air. And then when you doze off and your hand stops, fanning, you automatically wake back up. You're sitting in the cell all day long and just dripping sweat. After 8:30 in the morning, it's 8:30 till about 1 o'clock at night, you're just sitting in your cell dripping sweat. And there's no escape from it. At times, you want to crawl the wall, you want to climb the wall because you're just, there's no way to relieve yourself of the misery. Now, I don't know if they picked that specific prison, Lewisburg, because of the weather or because they know that the condition is going to be that way. But as far as just a mentally torture, yeah, they succeeded, because the whole time I was in Lewisburg, there was no way for me to, as hard as I tried, to be able to escape that reality that I was in. I couldn't get lost in a book. I read plenty of books while I was there. I wrote my wife every single day, but while I'm sitting there writing letters, I'm dripping sweat on the letter. When I'm reading the books, I can feel my hand soaking the pages. Like every second of every day that I was there, I was reminded that I was in a fucked up situation. We go out to rec every single day just to get the freak out of the cell, to be able to breathe some air in, just to get some relief, because it's just, there's people that probably live on the coast. You probably have a better understanding of what I'm saying about the humidity, but you're in a box now. You're not outside where you might catch a cool breeze. You're in a box, a tiny ass cell with another grown ass man, and you're just sitting there in your underwear and your boxer, dripping sweat all day. That's Lewisburg. Like I said, we go out to rec, whatever. I run into people that I haven't seen for years, and at this time, I ran into a couple homies that I was in Atwater with, a couple dudes from DC, Rob, Cardo, couple dudes from Hoover, Meathead, and another big homie, K-Head. But all these people has been there for over 2 years. And I was asking, I was like, damn, homie, I thought you guys were getting, going through your phases and all that stuff. Well, the reason why all these guys were still there was because, in 2015, that stuff jumped off with the DCs and the Sereno. So when that jumped off with the DC and the Sereno, it spread out to a few other prisons across the USP. And one of the places that it spread out to was Allenwood and Lewisburg. And Allenwood is almost like a step down. A lot of people that leave Lewisburg, they go do their phase 3 or phase 4 in Allenwood. Or some of them, they just get put in another part of the wing over there in Lewisburg. But when that stuff jumped off, it involved all the blacks and all the Mexicans that was affiliated with the Serenos, which meaning mainly the Paisas or whoever else they got right to them. And everybody crashed. And everybody, even though they've been over there at that program for 18 months, 2 years, they all got sent back. Day 1, phase 1. No matter where you go in the system, if you're affiliated with somebody, with a group, with a gang, and something that has nothing to do with you jump off on a yard across the country from you, you're still going to be affected. And that's just the way that the world that we lived in. So going to the SMU program, it was only a 9-month program, but from a lot of people that I met in there, it was hell trying to get out of that motherfucker. Welcome to the USP.